Srishti, we have started screening, is it? It's not even 4 yet.
Yes, sir. We'll just start in 1 minute.
Yeah, doesn't matter. There are 163 people just now.
Yeah, we'll slowly come. So, but we will start sharp at 4 so that we don't get over 5. Yeah. So, in another minute, I'll start and I'll request everyone to mute themselves when I'll just start, including my team and Jairaj bhai. Some other voice coming if 4 and we would like to start. I'm still hearing some disturbance. Panelists and my team, can you please mute yourself so that I can start?
Srishti, it's already streaming, so everyone can hear us even now. Huh?
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we'll start with the event now. Hello, everyone, and wish you all a very good evening and a very, very happy World Environment Day. Hope you are all safe and healthy in your homes. I'm Srishti, and I coordinate the climate change programs at the Center for Environment Education. And it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of CEE India to the World Environment Day event. Before we start, we would like to share some housekeeping rules for the smooth running of the event. This event is scheduled for about an hour and is being recorded. Only our panelists will be speaking today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A section. And while posting them, please identify yourself and your organization. We will be addressing them during the Q&A. Going back to the event, today's event is organized by CEE in partnership with the United Nations Environment Programme. CEE is committed to promoting environmental awareness nationwide and develops innovative programs in line with the same to ensure environmental education leads to action. Yes, talking about actions, there has never been a more urgent need than now for actions to revive our damaged ecosystems. And as it's being said, we have just 10 more years to reimagine, recreate, restore this planet. We cannot turn back time, but we can definitely do our bit by growing trees, greening our cities, rewilding our gardens, changing our diets, cleaning up rivers and coasts, etc., etc., etc. And that is why the WED theme this year is ecosystem restoration. And today, while we are hosting this event, marks the day of the launch of the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. The aim of the decade is to halt degradation of ecosystems all around the world, as well as to take actions to restore them. In line with this, CE also takes this opportunity to launch the Act to Restore National Campaign. We'll come to know more about it very, very soon. Now, to begin with, I'm sure you might be wondering what exactly is an ecosystem and how do we restore one? Let us watch this video and set the context for today's event. So now we have some idea about ecosystem degradation and why there is a need for restoration, as well as various ways we can help prevent, halt, or restore them. So let's go ahead and play a fun quiz and check what everyone knows already. For this, I would like to call my colleague Deepsha.
Yeah, thank you, Srishti. So, welcome all our participants. So, Srishti, can we have the question, please? Before starting the quiz, you just have to go to the website. It is www.menti.com. It is in our chat box, so you can copy the link and you have to paste it into your browser, and you have to enter the code, which is 23379516. Right, I'll repeat the code. It is also on the screen. So it is 23379516. So you have to go to the website which is shared in our chat box and enter the code. So you will see the screen which is showing our quiz questions. So we'll start in few seconds. You can enter the code, and then you will enter into our Mentimeter quiz room. Uh, yes, Srishti. Yeah, everyone is joining now. So we'll wait for a few seconds more so that everyone can join. The link is already in the chat box. You can copy the link, paste in into your browser, and enter the code, which is on your screen, which is 23379516. Okay, Sisti. First question is, what is an ecosystem? And yeah, we are getting responses, so I'll quick hurry up. What is an ecosystem? The options are all the non-living components of an area, all the organisms and non-living components of an area, and all the organism of an area. So I'll translate in the Hindi for the better understanding. एक पारिस्थितिकी तंत्र क्या है? पहला ऑप्शन है किसी क्षेत्र के सभी निर्जीव घटक, किसी क्षेत्र के सभी जीव और निर्जीव घटक, और एक क्षेत्र के सभी जीव. So yeah, we are getting good response. I'll request everyone to participate in the quiz to make it more interactive. If someone is unable to join, you have to go to the website which is entered in our chat box. The code is also is there. So you have to click on the link and you can directly go to our Mentimeter quiz room. And first question is already there on the screen. So you have to select one option which you feels which is correct. Okay. Mostly the students are saying all the organisms and non-living components of an area, uh, which is the करेक्ट आंसर. किसी क्षेत्र के सभी जीव और निर्जीव घटक. बिल्कुल सही जवाब है. कुछ लोगों ने ऑल द ऑर्गेनिजम्स ऑफ एन एरिया कहा है एंड बहुत कम लोगों ने ऑल द नॉन लिविंग कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ एन एरिया. बट द करेक्ट आंसर इज ऑल द ऑर्गेनिजम्स एंड नॉन लिविंग कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ एन एरिया. Very nice. Srishti, can we move to the next question?
Sorry.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Uh, can we go to our next question?
Yes, the next question is up here. Among these, which ecosystem is example of human modified ecosystem? We have 30 seconds. Sorry to interrupt, but you can go ahead with the options. We have very few seconds left.
Yeah. The second question. The second question is, yeah, my internet is a bit
No problem. We
unstable.
have
Yeah,
the
among
first.
these, which ecosystem is example of human modified ecosystem? The options are desert, forest, farmland and lakes. uh, इनमें से कौन सा पारितंत्र मानव संशोधित पारितंत्र का एक उदाहरण है? रेगिस्तान, वन, खेत भूमि या झील? uh, yeah, So we are getting good response once
Deep,
again.
I think
And
you did.
most of the students are saying it is farmlands. Few of them are saying forest.
Yeah, Deep, I think you have some connection issue. We are already seeing the results, and the farmlands is the right
Yeah,
answer. And most of the people have shared that option. So thank you. Thank you for everyone who participated. Deep, thank
yeah,
you. Okay. Uh, so now that was quite amazing to know that everyone already knows some science behind the ecosystems, and it was just setting the context for today. Now, moving on towards the main agenda. We are here with us, which you can already see them, with us a few dignitaries from the field of environment who would enlighten us with their knowledge on the fragile ecosystems across India, the decade, and also why there is a call for Act to Restore. For that, I would like to call our first speaker for the day, Mr. Atul Bagai, Head India Country Office, UNF. Mr. Bagai joined UN Environment's Ozone Action Program under the Montreal Protocol as the regional officer for South Asia and built the capacity of sub-regional networks also within Asia. Today, he would be talking about the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration and how this could help combat climate change and poverty and prevent a mass extinction. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. And I wanted to wish everyone a very happy World Environment Day, and also thank Karthike Bhai for inviting me for this and giving us an opportunity to speak today. I also would like to acknowledge my senior Ashok Khosla ji, who actually I've learned so much from him in the field of environment that I feel a little out of place trying to speak about environment when he's sitting around me. With gurus like him, one has appreciated the kind of impact environment can have on us and on the world. Today's World Environment Day is a very significant World Environment Day, very different from the past World Environment Days. And the big significance of today's day is the fact that the United Nations is launching the Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. Next 10 years, there is going to be a focus on restoring ecosystems, restoring our biodiversity, restoring our forest lands, looking at restoring the desert areas. And this is going to be a focus not for just trying to resuscitate the ecosystems, but I think it's an endeavor to prevent further damage to the human race itself. And this whole nexus between environment and health is something which we all need to really look at and understand very closely. When we say that next 10 years, we are going to restore our ecosystems, we are looking at two main objectives. One, of course, restoring the loss that has come to our ecosystems, but also restoring the beneficial impact ecosystems will have on the human race and on human beings. And the health aspects need to be really looked at very, very closely. This, of course, gets linked to the main areas which CEE asked me to talk about on impacts on poverty and also how ecosystem losses can lead to impacting on the vulnerable parts of the society, and also on impacting adversely on the economic growth. And this whole sustainable development paradigm, the sustainable development public discourse, which talks about the three pillars, certainly shows that the environment pillar impacts on economy quite adversely if it is not properly restored and if it is not properly maintained. Economy and environment should be seen as two sides of the same coin. And this is where the whole world, and this is one historic step that has been taken this year, that the whole world, through a United Nations Assembly resolution this year, has started looking at the whole concept of natural capital accounting. Accounting for GDP in a country is a very good approach that we had been following over the past so many decades. But I think the time has come, in this decade of ecosystem restoration gives more emphasis on this new approach that all the countries, including India, have agreed to adopt, that they would start looking at accounting our natural capital, looking at our ecosystems, looking at our forests, looking at our rivers, mountains, of what kind of natural capital do we have and what kind of accounting that can be done to see that whether that natural capital is building on our GDP or building on our economic growth, or it is leading to the debit side on our accounting systems for our economic growth. And this is something that is taken up by so many countries now, and India has actually taken quite a lot of lead in this regard. And this kind of accounting of our ecosystems and accounting for our biodiversity is essential to see that we look at our whole economic growth as part of an inclusive growth or inclusive wealth, rather than just looking at economic growth without looking at people and products. The Ministry of Statistics has already initiated a lot of discussions in this. They've started looking at some selective wetlands ecosystems in India and started looking at how on the ground this kind of accounting can be done. So I think these kind of positive approaches towards our environment and to our ecosystem is something that needs to be done. And this becomes even more urgent because of the present COVID-19 pandemic through which we are all going through. The whole world is going through this never seen before kind of a phase in our lives where not a single human being is left untouched. And this is largely because of the way we have treated our nature in the last 50 to 60 years. So I think the underlying message of this decade, and like to conclude, is that it's time that we make peace with our nature. It's time that we start looking at how to heal it further and how to sustain it, because if we can do that, then we would be sustaining ourselves. And that is the most critical impact that nature has on us. One phrase which I've been using last 2 days, 3 days, quite a lot, and I heard about this in one of the events which the Ministry of Tourism had organized a couple of days back on sustainable tourism. And there was this, one of these wildlife travelers who runs sustainable tourist resorts. He said a very telling thing, that in our tradition, why we consider guests as gods, Atithi Devo Bhav, we need to enhance that tradition to now start talking about Prakriti Devo Bhav, that nature is our God. We need to really look after nature as God and worship it and preserve it, because if we do not, then the nature has come as an ambassador telling us the COVID-19 is actually an ambassador of the nature who's come to tell us that we've not been treating nature properly. Thanks a lot, and I wish everyone a happy World Environment Day. And we are very happy to be working with all of you on seeing how we can take these steps towards healing the nature. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for providing us with that overarching view of the decade and also some economics there. And very importantly, how we should treat our nature, as you already mentioned in your speech. And we were very glad to have you with us. There have been a lot of questions, and we want them to take it up once the expert talks have been conducted. So please feel free to put them in the Q&A box. Specific questions which you would like to put it to our distinguished speakers, and so we will move ahead with the other two speakers today, and then we would take up the few questions from there. So moving ahead, we are all aware of one of the most pressing environmental issues, which Atul sir just mentioned also, which is, and one of that is the plastic pollution. And where does it usually end up? So we all know that it's our mighty oceans who are taking all the brunt of the plastic pollution on Earth. So, and every year, if we see at the if we look at the data, there is about 8 million tons of plastic waste which escapes into the oceans. So our oceans are being degraded from pollution, climate change, and many other issues. And to know more about the marine ecosystems and the need for their restoration, we have with us Dr. Shailesh Nayak. Dr. Shailesh Nayak currently is the director of the National Institute of Advanced Studies and Chancellor of the Terry School of Advanced Studies. He was earlier the Secretary, Ministry of Earth Sciences, Government of India, and pioneered in development of methodologies for remote sensing application and generating a baseline database of the Indian coast. Sir, welcome to our event, and you have the floor now. Sir, you are on mute.
Thank you very much. And my greetings to all of you on the World Environment Day. And of course, this is a decade of ecosystem restoration, but this is also a decade of oceans declared by the UN. And I think these two are very much complementary to each other, because the ocean as an ecosystem controls our weather, climate, and also provides energy, food, and many other things. So I think both these things are very critical. And one of the important aspects of this ocean as an ecosystem is that over a period of time, because our requirement of the various food and energy has multiplied manifold. And as the resources on lands are reducing, we are more moving towards the coast and the oceans. And in this aspect, there are a few things which is very important. One is the generation of the information is basically Ocean Biogeographical Information System, which is OBIS. And in India also, there is the Indian Ocean Biogeographical System. There is a program on marine census, which is being regularly done. And hundreds of thousands of species and their information is now being collected. But we have still a long way to go, in the sense that one of the major issues which we have been facing is the climate change, and its impact on variety of the ecosystem is not still very well understood. The one which we have been seeing now in Indian coast is on the food. Let us take an example. What we have been finding that the fish, which is the sardine and mackerel, which was major fish which was available on Kerala and Karnataka coast up to 1985. Slowly, this now is not available in as much as quantity as it used to be. And many times this has been said that it is because of the overfishing and all. But the analysis of our data shows that what has actually happened is that this fishery have shifted upwards. Now you get more mackerel and sardine on Maharashtra and Goa coast as well as on the east coast, which was not happening. So there are many such changes are also going on, which is indirect impact of the climate change. There is another major impact which is happening now on the coral reef, apart from the bleaching, but the mesoscale Aedes, with the concentration of this Aedes, which is increasing in the ocean, also affected, actually it leads to a phytoplankton bloom and ultimately affects the coral reefs. So there are lots of such indirect effects which is happening, which we are not aware of. So I think in this decade, we need to create the knowledge of entire system, including its structure, functions of the each ecosystem, and document it properly and should be made available to everyone. I think that should be the one very important thing. One of the aspects which was mentioned about plastic is more or less like a carbon dioxide, because plastic degrades almost by 80 to 100 years, and sometimes some plastics even more. So it is increasing. Its concentration day by day, it is increasing. And we are not very sure that which are the all areas are now affected. Earlier, we were thinking only the coast, but now we are finding even in Mariana Trench, 11,000 meter below this, also the plastics have been found. So it is everywhere, and it is in the small microplastic less than 5 millimeter or so in forms of fragments and the fibers. And this is another area which we needs to look at it very closely. And Mr. Bagai has told a very important thing about the accounting system. And I think the problem, we know that this environment or ecosystem has certain value, but how to put it? The unfortunate part is the kind of data which we collect as a scientist of the ecosystem and the economists, the way they collect the data. These two formats are quite different, and a lot of need for the scientists and economists to sit together and devise a integration of between these two, so that we can actually put and found the value of each ecosystem. And then only probably I think there would be a possibility of protecting, not only protecting, but also the restoring. So I think my last message is that the ecosystem restoration will need two things. One, an education system where we can produce scientists, managers, and leaders who can take up this task. And second is we need a governance system. Like all this ecosystem, it is not that what we do in India affects only India. It can affect Maldives or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, or what they do also can affect the either way. So the current governance system has not been sufficiently able to understand as well as control this kind of issues. I think the next 10 years, we, apart from generating the knowledge, I think we need a social and the human system as well, so that we can sustain the planet Earth. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your precious inputs and advice and sharing your insights on our marine ecosystems. And I will just take a moment to welcome Shri Jigmit Takpa, who has just joined our event. And sir, we will be we are trying our best to free you in another 10-15 minutes. Hope you will be with us. And we'll also try to reshuffle a little bit if the time is the constraint. Sir, so moving ahead with our next speaker and knowing more about our freshwater ecosystems. And I'm not sure if many of you know that approximately 30% of our natural freshwater ecosystems have disappeared since 1970. And due to that, safe water has now become a luxury. Our, as Shailesh sir spoke about the degrading marine ecosystems, our freshwater ecosystems are also being continuously degraded. And to throw light on this topic, we have with us Dr. Ashok Khosla, Chairperson, Governing Council, CEE. Dr. Khosla founded and was the president of the 30-year-old Development Alternatives Group and now chairs it. Earlier, after faculty positions at Harvard, Dr. Khosla was the director of the Indian government's first Environment Office, and then was the founder director of Infoterra and UNF. I'm sure again you will be having questions. Please feel free to put them in the Q&A section. Sir, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. I'm amazed at the amount of work that we've already covered. I just want to wish everybody a very happy World Environment Day. I'm going to try to take you through a roller coaster of ideas, not just on freshwater, not on the kinds of issues that we've been talking about, but trying to do a deep dive into how we've got to manage our resources. So can I have my screen shared? Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, sir, we can see it.
I'm afraid it's we have a little problem which I'm just solving. Okay, so this is the beginning. Now, what I'm talking about is a systemic approach to sustainable and resilient restoration of our ecosystems. And I'm very glad to be here. I'm very deeply associated with CEE, and I would like very much to share a few ideas that I think are important for the work of CEE and for all our institutions around the world. You know, over the last 50 years, since the UN Conference on Human Environment in Stockholm in 1972, we've made massive efforts to stop the destruction of nature and of the environment and its resources. But stopping is not enough. We now need to restore, revive, and regenerate. We now know that we've gone too far already in many cases, in the case of climate change and biodiversity loss and species extinction. And we've got now to face facts. And therefore, we need to look at why we need to do this, not only in India, but all over the world. India has a very good example. Its annual losses due to loss of resources is unbelievable. India loses roughly 10,000, even more than that, square kilometers per year into desertification. Hundreds of millions of people subsist on degraded lands and living in very meager circumstances. 75% lives actually close to nature and depending on nature's resources. So how can forest biodiversity benefit those rural people? Genetic biodiversity is important, ecosystem resilience, increased adaptive capacity to stresses like climate change. But above all, there are all these essential functions, provisions of various kinds like pollination, pest, disease, nutrient cycles, and the previous speakers have referred to things like fresh water, soils, and so on. Now, the issue really is, what are we going to lose? Well, one of the big things we're going to have lost already in our country and all over the world is soils. You see that little 1 cubic inch of soil in the top left-hand corner? Well, actually, it contains life. It contains literally hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of living organisms of this kind. And we're losing it at an unbelievable rate. We basically have to restore. And restoration is not only important, but it's doable. You take the example of Korea. In 1960, right after the Korean War, Korea had virtually no forests. Less than 5% of it was covered with trees. By 2000, it is the most forested country in the world, 65%, maybe short of Canada and Brazil. But basically, they had recovered through the absolutely single-minded approach led by the president of the country to reforest their lands. And every year for several decades, everyone, whether they were lawyers and engineers, government officials, students, professors, had to go out there and do their 6 weeks of tree planting and look at what they did. The same happened in the Loess Plateau in China. In 8 years, you can see how they transformed from the top to the bottom of that picture. Literally 2.5 million people's incomes doubled in that time, and 35,000 square kilometers restored. Rwanda's president got a prize for the incredible forestation programs that they did, and now Ethiopia. So, and next door to us, Pakistan has what they call the $1 billion tsunami, a billion tree tsunami. So, you know, we don't have to be frightened. It is possible to do it. And even in India, we are actually managing to do quite a lot. Restoration opportunities are known. We've mapped them. We have an atlas for all over the world as well as for India. We know that we can do this. My own experience is mainly in Bundelkhand, in the central part of India, UP, Madhya Pradesh. And we've been able to show over decades how much you can get from an environmental, social, and economic point of view by doing simple restoration, natural regeneration. Nature is incredibly resilient, and if you leave it alone, it comes back. And on top of that, we do a fair amount of work on reviving the water systems, the land systems, the social systems, and indeed the farming systems. By that, we can create all kinds of things. Now, we need to think different from before. We have to think landscape. We need to go beyond the jurisdictions of one district or another, one state or another. We also need to go across levels. Global and national agreements are all very well, but they have to be translated into local action, the habitat level. This applies to forests, to grasslands, and there's an incredible amount of improvement and benefits that you can get from virtually every ecosystem, whether it's in the mountains or in the deserts and the plains, whether it's for species, whether it's for habitats, whether it's for ecosystem processes, like wetlands. Nature needs our help to come back to where it used to be, able to support an incredible productive ecosystem. So how do we do this? We do this with techniques of managing land degradation and land restoration. Again, from my own experience, I show you pictures of what we've been doing in Bundelkhand. There are many ways you can manage your water systems, your bunding, your ponds, your land leveling, your choice of crops. And by doing that, you are in a position to do a great deal. This is an example of how we, for very, very little money, transform a totally degraded land of the kind that you have on the left, called wasteland, into basically a flourishing forest by keeping every drop of water in with contour trenches and cattle proofing it out and feeding the cattle with fast-growing species. And then within literally a year and a half, you can convert a denuded hill like that into a forest. We do this all the time, and it's possible to do it if you choose to understand nature and work with it. With good science, good knowledge of ecosystems, species, etc., and using biomimicry, with viable business models, you create lots of local livelihoods, generate profits and impacts, and you have to have massive participation of the professionals, of the experts, as well as volunteers and business and students. How much? How much does it cost, and what are the benefits? Contribution of land and resources to local livelihoods in the national economy are absolutely huge. As Shailesh just said, it's unfortunate that our measurement techniques are not adequate for this task yet, but they are beginning to be seen. For example, we know that if you restore a woodland like this one, you get which would need an investment, capital investment of about $5,000, maybe 3 lakhs. You get a return of 3 lakhs per hectare per year. You have almost 100%, maybe sometimes more, return on investment, which is something that any businessman would be very happy to do. TEEB, the ecosystem, economics of ecosystems and biodiversity studies have shown that we have unbelievable amounts of values. If you look at the bottom of the chart, in coral reefs, for example, or coastal wetlands, the return on investments are absolutely huge. What you get for, in terms of 3 lakhs per hectare was what I talked about. But if you look at some of the higher ones, you can get 10 times that in returns. And we've never valued these. We don't get them into our GDP and our national accounts, so we don't care about them. Who is going to do it? It's going to be done by government, by forest departments, by other agencies, but particularly by civil society, by NGOs, voluntary organizations, women's groups, self-help groups, and so on. And then there is, of course, the whole question of people's movements. And I just want to wrap it up by saying not only do you need other things like finance, and we have a lot of that in our country, already set aside by Camper funds, for example, or government support and infrastructure and everything else, but all sectors of society need to be involved. And we're very fortunate. In our country, we've even got spiritual leaders, faith organizations, planting massive numbers of trees. Business, CSR has to do a lot for this. And above all, we need each one of us. The school and the college educational systems can come out there and help us. These are pictures of various movements that we have, including ones that are religious, that are academic, that are government sponsored. But above all, it's the people, and it's a movement. And I think that what CEE has to do is to educate people that they have to take care of not only nature, but of each other through taking care of nature. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing those insights and also clearing many of our doubts and also reinstating the fact that we all have to come together to regenerate, restore our ecosystems and how we can work together to do that. So thank you so much, sir, for that. And we are holding the Q&A session a little bit. We are reshuffling our slides a little bit so that it suits Mr. Thakpa's schedules. Sir, we can go ahead with the talk now. So I'm now taking the pleasure to invite our guest of honor for the event for a talk and to officially unveil the first few posters from the series of Act to Restore package. Shri Thakpa, I welcome you all sir, on behalf of everyone. Shri Thakpa presently serves as Joint Secretary, Government of India, and is also the national focal point of UNCCD for India. Shri Thakpa has pioneered biodiversity conservation, rural development, and renewable energy in Ladakh and established a benchmark in the Himalayas. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Shri Digmit Thakpa. Sir, over to you. Can my team check on Mr. Thakpa if he's still here?
Checking.
By the time sir is going to, our Mr. Thakpa is coming back, or we will just check on him, then we can take up a few questions which we have received over the chat box. Maybe one question, and then we could see if he's still here. So, Atul sir, there is a question in the chat box for you. And first of all, there was a question about why the whole World Environment Day started. So, we would like you to speak on that a little bit. But there are mostly questions on how science, technology, traditions, and spiritual attitude among generation can come together to save our nature, and how during this pandemic, students and youth could come together and do some activities. So these are the two questions we would like you to speak on.
Is that question directed towards me? Because I just couldn't hear the whole, the voice is so low. I think there's a problem with, can someone repeat the question if it was directed towards me, please?
Yes, sir. Am I audible now?
A little better. I think you'll have to speak a little louder or someone else could do it.
Okay, I'll try and speak a little louder, sir. Ma'am, can someone else help me? Sir is not able to listen to me.
Yes, Srishti, better.
Deep, please go ahead and ask the question.
Yes, sir. So the question is, how did World Environment Day like start celebrated? And the second question was, in this pandemic, what can be done at to improve our ecosystem activity wise at school level? So these were the questions for you, sir.
Yeah, in fact, the first question is something that the other panelist, Ashok ji, was very intimately connected with that during the Stockholm conferences in 1972. On the first day, environment issues were discussed, and it was decided to see if a day could be focused on environment in the future, and the United Nations General Assembly in 72 decided to allocate this day for celebrating globally as World Environment Day. The first World Environment Day was celebrated, Ashok ji may correct me, in 1974, I think, and it was celebrated in USA. And for a few years, a few countries were celebrating it, but then I think this whole system of rotating it also came in as it developed, and it has reached a stage where now it has really become a day where the pledge for restoring and saving our environment is rekindled, and people come together globally. So that's the background to the celebration of World Environment Day. On the pandemic, what can the kids do in the schools? I was thinking all the schools are closed, so I don't know whether the kids really go to the school. But certainly, I think a very big responsibility in India specifically is on the shoulders of the youth, which form such an enormous percentage of Indian population that the individual action that the students can do can have a big impact. My advice certainly at this stage would be to take all precautions of the COVID, against the COVID, and don't go out too much, don't mix around. So this is not the right time to really interact and take collective action. But there is something that CEE, WWF, and UNEP has brought together over the last 1 year, the Tide Turner Challenge that is online, which has become a very popular program amongst the kids in the school, and then also an online schools on environment called the Earth School. So I think some of these initiatives are the ones which the school children should certainly look at in terms of what they can contribute to the environmental restoration. In fact, today in the morning, in our main event, we also launched what we call the Eco Guardian program along with Byju's, and that is something we have developed for the whole decade of ecosystem restoration. And Byju's is going to drive this whole online portal on environmental education for children. And I think that's where we'll also bring in our partners like CEE and other partners to outreach it. So I think some of these initiatives will be very useful for the school children to look at.
Shrishti, someone taking the next question? Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to the next question. So the next question is for Dr. Nayak, and this is from Sri Aditya S. saying that when we say that the upcoming decade is an environment decade, what are the steps that will be taken in oceans, and what is that we can do as students to preserve the oceans?
I missed in between.
I'll repeat again, sir.
Yeah.
What are the steps? What are the steps that we can take to preserve the ecosystem with respect to oceans?
But there is also another question, Dr. Nayak, which is on oil spills. That they want to also know what can be done on oil spills. You might want to take both those.
Yeah, sure. No, these oil spills are issue which is happening in the areas where, you know, the transfer of oil takes place from ship to this, also along the shipping lane, as well as some of the ships, what we call as the ballast water, you know, when they clean, they also dump the ballast water, which has a lot of oil in it. There are very stringent laws about it by international maritime organizations, and by and large, it is pretty well controlled now. You need to have an emergency plan to collect it and remove it from the ocean. Last several years, we did not have any serious accident as far as the oil spills are concerned. And over a period of time, I mean, do not have a very long-term impact. Like even if the oil comes to the shore, whether it is on mangroves or over a period of time, they get washed off and degrade. But the more serious issues are others. One is the amount of nutrients, especially the phosphorus and nitrogen, which is being used in the agriculture, which finds its way ultimately to the ocean. That is one which is a very, very serious issue, because most of the fertilizer we use, one estimate is that about 14% is actually used. The rest is all through over a period of time from field to the rivers and to coast and to the ocean it goes. And that creates an oxygen minimum zone into the ocean. And India, I mean, both Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal has one of the largest oxygen minimum zone. And in this zone, the normal marine life do not survive. But over a period of time, the copepods also have now adjusted to this low minimum zone. And we are now finding another species which is called myctophids. It's a huge 100 billion tons you can harvest every year, but it's a non-table fish. So things are changing. You know, as Khoslaji also mentioned, that nature has a very resilient capacity, but something else is coming up. So one thing which we need to worry is about the transfer of nutrients from the land to the sea. Second is, of course, which is quite worrisome, is the plastics. And this is currently, you know, there are not very serious issue as of now. But in coming years, this is going to be a major issue. And I think we need to address this issue from the land itself and try to collect the plastic as much as we can on the land. And one of the very good example is, I would like to say, is the blue flag beaches, where apart from keeping the beach safe and clean, also the education is provided about how not to allow this marine litter to go to the ocean. And the third issue is slightly different, is about the acidification of the ocean, which is essentially happening because of the absorption of the carbon dioxide into the ocean, which is increasing. And that is may lead to a lot of things that the most species in the ocean has aragonite or calcite cover. And this will start dissolving. And of course, our latest information as far as Arabian Sea is concerned, we are not reached to that level where aragonite can start dissolving. But if this carbon dioxide is continue to increase, I think the day may not be too far off where the species may also start getting affected. So what we need to do is we need to continuously monitor what is happening in the ocean and on the land, and also to stop all these pollutants and everything going to the ocean.
Sir, and since we are short of time, there's one small question which I would like to put up to Dr. Ashok Khosla. Sir, there is a question from Srinivas which I tried to put to Atul sir as well, that he was of the idea that if we think there is a need that in place of science and technology, if we could use tradition and spiritual attitude among generation to save our nature. So we would like to hear from you, Ashok sir, on that. So you are on mute.
I am no longer on mute. Of course, absolutely. The modern science has much to offer. Without it, we would not be able to address many of these issues, which have been caused by the application, the wrong application of good modern science. I mean, that mixed up with human greed and with lack of feeling for fellow creatures, for the ecosystem. We've used science in good ways, but we've also used it in bad ways. A large number of the things that happen to our ecosystem would not have happened if modern science hadn't been able to do many of these things. But the solutions lie also in better use of that science. But it's not alone. There is traditional knowledge. It's clear. I don't know about the young people in this meeting, but my parents' generation and all the generations for millennia before them were extremely in harmony with nature. They lived their lives frugally and in total dedication to conserving the health and the productivity of nature around them. And that is why we are here, because for generations and generations, they looked after the lands and the waters and the forests and the rivers. It's only this last couple of generations that have really made such a mess of things. And tradition has a lot to offer. I'm not sure that the two are in conflict. I see tradition being very important in harnessing knowledge about nature and about ecosystem that has been acquired over thousands of years, and that's important. But much more is the attitudes. It's the commitment to leading a better life through a better future. So I think tradition is important. Whether we can find solutions with cow dung and cow urine and so on, I'm not sure. It's beyond me right now to be able to judge whether those are solutions to our farming problems or not. Some people claim they're miraculous. Other people say that they have no relevance to the future of a nation of 1 billion people, of 1.5 billion people. And I'm not going to be able to answer that. But I do know that you cannot discard any knowledge without jeopardizing your own future. So we've got to test it. If it's empirically makes sense, if it's evidence-based, it's good knowledge. It could be Vedic, it could be based on particle physics. It makes very little difference as long as there's the test of evidence and ground reality. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir, for those words, and all our honorable speakers. And since we don't have much time, we will not be taking all the questions right now, and we will move ahead with the session. Thank you, Dr. Shailesh. Thank you, Ashok Khosla, sir, and also I think Mr. Bagai may have to leave. So thank you so much, our speakers for today. And we are moving ahead right now with the other session. I'm sure Mr. Takpa will join again. I'm not sure when he will be able to. So once we join, we will try to accommodate him, Karthik sir and Daniel sir, if that's okay. So we move ahead with the session and we will try and accommodate him once he's here with us. Is that okay? Okay. So now let's put up the slides, and now here comes the moment when we are trying to, and we are all waiting for the launch of the CEE's Act to Restore campaign. And for this, I would like to invite Shri Kartike Sarabhai and Mr. Daniel Schaffer. Shri Kartike Sarabhai, as we all know, is the founder and director of the Center for Environment Education, and he's one of the world's leading environmental educators. He has served on many committees set up by the Government of India, primarily focusing on the greening of India's formal education system and initiatives for biodiversity education. Our second speaker, Mr. Daniel Schaffer, is the Chief Executive Officer of Foundation for Environmental Education. And prior to that, he was part of EcoOcean and worked for many years as a research vessel captain. He worked with youth both within the formal and within the non-formal education sectors, and believes that education is a vital tool for positive change. Before passing on the baton to our session speakers, we hereby officially launch the Act to Restore campaign. Sir, we are all waiting to hear from you about the vision behind Act to Restore, and from Daniel, sir, about handprint actions for our fragile ecosystems. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shrishti, and it's been very inspirational to hear the speakers. I also wanted to just tell people that we are also launching 2 courses today. One is to follow the ecosystem program, and over the next 6 months, there will be detailed sessions. So many of the questions which are not possible to answer in this short period will get answered over this time. This is also the beginning of the decade of education, decade of ecosystem restoration. And in that, it recognizes that sort of time. I think Ashok, he showed us wonderful photographs of what can be done, but you will also find many around you of what can be done, including the CEE campus itself, which was a barren piece of land and which can come. And that resilience of nature, trees being a good representative of it, is really, really wonderful. The Act to Restore campaign will have 2 programs. One is a special program of the Green Teacher, which is a program we've been running for a very long time. And the second one being the Ecosystem Restoration certificate course itself. We are doing this under the CEE Academy. Daniel, we have taken something from you in saying what is the platform from which we can offer some of the more academic programs, which are certification programs of CEE, and these are the first 2 which we start. We offer it from today. We hope that many of the young people who are here will join this rather exciting program, and we'll be also having webinars like this every month on the different ecosystems, focusing specifically on ecosystems. So the handprint action, which most of you know about, is something which we want to say here, that we believe in education, which also leads to action. And I think you will see that very much in the Act to Restore, and actually getting people involved in that. So Shrishti, back to you and to Daniel.
Yes, Daniel, sir. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And it's really nice to know that Kartike has actually taken something from me, because it's usually the other way around. I think that the words that I've written are mostly aimed at the young people participating in this event today. So first of all, I'd like to thank you all, and especially Kartike and CEE, for inviting me and allowing me to say a few words in the celebration of the World Environment Day and the launch of the Act to Restore campaign. What you're launching here today is important, and it's also encouraging. We all know that balance in our lives is important, and we strive to find balance in our personal relationships, in our work versus leisure or versus our family time. We try to find balance in our finances, and so on. But when we see our relationship with nature and our surroundings, we have been acting without consideration to the needed balance. We have ignored the balance because we have accepted a world where the I is far more important than the us or the we. It is with sadness and amazement that we witness the radical changes happening all around us and the speed in which these changes take place. Loss of biodiversity, flora, fauna, or complete ecosystems can't go without a price, and we should think about this price carefully, as it is far more reaching than we tend to think. The air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, are all affected directly and extensively by the negative impacts we are bestowing on our Earth. But it is also the beauty of our nature that we are losing, and the beauty is strongly connected to our well-being, our culture, and our sense of belonging. In fact, in many ways, the nature and its beauty is what defines us as humans. The real steps to protect and restore natural elements, it is time for us to take action, and the Act to Restore campaign is the kind of action that can engage and motivate young people to take real steps to protect and restore natural elements that are in such danger. This campaign fits well with the Gaia 2030. This is the strategy the Foundation for Environmental Education has developed to reduce climate change, pollution, and loss of biodiversity. The Foundation for Environmental Education has set its focus on these three thematic areas as we believe they are the most urgent and that we have the most to contribute positively to. It is through the development of the educational programs such as our eco-schools that we seek to bring attention, knowledge, and drive positive action by students, teachers, families, and communities. It is the action we take that will help cement our future, commitment, sense of belonging, and stewardship towards nature. The more we do, the stronger we will feel connected. The stronger we feel connected, the more we will be willing to do. I wish you all the best of luck and hope that this campaign will be another significant part of the change in attitudes we are witnessing with our younger generations. We can all take part in areas we can contribute to, and we can all decide that change can start with us as individuals. This is our life, this is our time, and this is our home. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kartik Bhai and Daniel sir, for inspiring us, for those inspiring words. And with this campaign, as the UN has already reinstated, that together we can be generation restoration. So with that, we will be officially now unveiling the posters in the presence of our distinguished guests. Can we go ahead? Yes, please. Yes, the opening poster for the Act to Restore is designed to inspire individuals to make sustainable choices, elevate their voices, and take actions in their own way and in whatever ecosystem they reside or work. However, as our speakers also said, these actions will only succeed if everyone plays a part. Today, we are also taking an opportunity to launch another poster from the series based on our theme for the month of June. Yes, the marine ecosystem, in line with the World Oceans Day celebrated on June 8th. As you see, it talks about refusing single-use plastics, restoration of mangroves, and also shares success story as already been shared by one of our panelists about the blue flag beaches in India. So that is it on the poster. Thank you so much to all our speakers, and we move ahead to know more details about the Act to Restore campaign from my colleague, Ms. Preeti, Senior Program Director, School Programs. Ma'am, over to you.
Shrishti, Mr. Tekpa has joined.
Okay, so we can go back. Okay.
So I do. Yeah, he's here. So we welcome you, sir. Yeah.
Ma'am, please, you can go ahead and welcome. That's okay.
Yeah, please, Shrishti, go ahead.
Okay, no problem. Sir, thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and joining our event. We sort of had to reshuffle a little bit, but we all welcome you here, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm really sorry. Actually, today was very hectic day. Being World Environment Day, and moreover today, I think our Honorable Prime Minister announced the release of biofuel, and all our ministry got involved into that. They canceled everything and joined that program. And I was asked to represent everywhere on behalf of the ministry. So, and another thing was that I had to get vaccine for my son. So within this same period of 4 to 5 was the time slot. Then I have to rush with my mobile and laptop to the vaccine center. And when they gave the jab, and I ran back to my residence so that to join you. I'm really sorry. It is very, very extremely bad situation for me.
No, thank you so much, Mr. Stampa.
So, sir, thank you. But the thing is that, to talk about ecosystem restoration, I think that they are the most eminent and scholars of the country who are gathered here. And sir, जैसे कहते हैं ना कि जो है सूरज के सामने दिया जलाना होता है, तो I'm very new and very, I have to learn so many things from the people around, and they have given their life, and they have been so passionate about the work. But I salute each and every one of them, because I know them, that they are a real authority on the subject. So me talking on the subject looks too, is too much. But the thing is that I can give a perspective of what is happening in the ministry. But if I had to talk against the ministry, I think I will get another, what I can say, sir, actually on this occasion, I want to talk about ecosystem restoration or the importance of education. That is a very well known fact. But the thing is that one thing that I see in the country is this country, sir, it is something magical, actually, to be very frank. I can't imagine a country which having so much of population, so much of cattle population, human population, and the stress on the resources are so huge. Apart from that, the governmental support for restoration work and forestry work is so meager. And even if it is there, it is totally not managed well, I could say. So in that process, still that India is able to do well. I should say do well, because more than 250 to 3 million tons of firewood and other biomass is extracted from forest, and nothing is put back onto the forest. It is only that we are extracting all the time. And even then, I think the statistics say that India has marginally increased its forest cover, mainly because in the forest or outside tree forest. But India has been able to increase a bit, which has been validated by even NASA, saying that because of China and India, that the world looks to be a bit better, greener. But I don't know. But I can't say that I doubt their statistics. But the condition is so huge. The problem and the pressure on the ecosystem in India is so huge. Even with that, I think India is doing well. And moreover, in future, with the support from the international agency, the local NGOs, and the government, when put together, I think we can still create miracle. And whatever India has committed at international fora, whether it is UNFCCC, whether UNCCT, or biodiversity targets, India has achieved well and done well. Biodiversity achieved HI target has been done well. It has been very well recognized. And forest cover has marginally increased. Density might have reduced a bit, but we have been able to do tree outside forest much better. Say about, I think some million hectare has been, restored. So, and moreover, the more important thing is that our youth is our future. And there had been one thing that good about our youth is they are very enthusiastic. They are knowledge based. They believe in science. And with the robust science and technology and ingenuity that India has, I am sure that India can do very well, in the coming years, despite the fact that earlier when in agriculture, our production was 50 million tons, and that was even not sufficient to feed our population. And it has increased slowly has reached a level of now 300 million tons. And it is to exceed more than that. So the main problem that has now struck is that the earlier we were increasing the area of agriculture. The net sown area in India is the highest in the world. We are the second highest exporter of all the agricultural produce in the world. We are the highest producer in terms of fruits and vegetable. Our milk production is among the highest in the world. So put together, how much we are extracting from the ecosystem. I think that is time to relook and give back the productivity of land. If we increase the productivity of land to a level which is internationally recognized, at present, India's agricultural productivity is 1 to 2 tons per hectare, whereas internationally it is up to about 5 to 6 tons per hectare. So that way, India's productivity of land is almost 1/3 of the rest of the country, the global average. So if we increase the productivity of land in agriculture, so we not only will double, we will have triple the income of farmers, and India could be one of the breadbasket of the world. So there is a potential. There need to be very frank, there need to be a political will and strategic policy shift that we need to have to come across all the subsidy and all the dole that we give, especially to farmers in terms of fertilizer, in terms of electricity, in terms of water. Because of that, the whole system has been completely jeopardized. Farmers are extracting. India is the highest extractor of the groundwater. 1/4 of the world groundwater is extracted in India, and it is exported to the in terms of virtual export. In terms of when we export the grains and things, virtually we are exporting our water resources. So India, we cannot sustain this kind of a system. The subsidy in terms of this, especially electricity, it is totally destroying all our agricultural land, not only agricultural land, all other land which is around the agriculture. It has become saline, it has become alkaline, it is waterlogged, and in the process, the land is gone forever, and recouping such a land becomes extremely difficult. At the same time, one thing good about India is that we have such a diverse geographical system. We have all kind of geographical land formation, whether it is mountain, river, plain, largest number of, you can say, the coastline and number of islands. So we have all kind of ecosystem: desert, hot desert, cold desert, plain, plateau, the oldest mountain chain, the youngest mountain chain, the highest mountain chain, and that it is surrounded by 3 sides by a sea. So India is the only country. Ocean is named after country, like Indian Ocean. No other ocean is named after any country. We have Indian subcontinent. We are not a country. We are a subcontinent. We say Indian subcontinent. So in that we have so much of biodiversity, all kind of biodiversity. We have all the species found in the Central Asian region. We have species found in the Indo-Malayan region, the mountain system, the desert system. So we have a very diverse biodiversity. Therefore, we are very, very rich. The need of the hour is to understand it, and we need to have a very transformative projects and program to restore it and to take it further. Therefore, we need to, the government need to work in synergy. There are no dearth of funds, sir. There are no dearth of fund. We have done just an estimation of all the ministries, all the program, all the project. We came to a conclusion that there is 7 lakh crore. 7 lakh crore is put in the land restoration, not agriculture, land restoration, rural development, watershed, all put together in a year. Annual budget allocation for land in India is 7 lakh crore. And where is total requirement to restore all the land in one go? It is less than 3 lakh crore. So less than 3 lakh crore, and the cost of degradation is more than 3 lakh crore. So we have resources, we have funds. What is required is we need to put all that the projects program and identify where it is required and monitored, and it has to be sustainably managed. That is the main thing. Even if you do a lot of plantation, next year it will all are gone. All are grazed. So therefore, I think that the whole country has to come up. All the agency has to come up, and I hope that India can lead the next decade of ecosystem restoration. And in that, I think UN General Assembly has designated UNEP and FAO as the lead agency. At the same time, now I think CEE, I know Sir Kartikeya Sarabhai for long time, and I have a big regard for him. I have been to his institution. Before going to his institution, I have been in Ladakh, seeing him. They are all poster. I used to get amazed by the final detail, how they make the everything so perfect. We sent a lot of photographs to CEE for publication. Most of them were rejected, saying that quality is so bad. So because they have a standard, so that shows that the agency is led by quality. There is no compromise on quality, and they have been the center of excellence for the ministry for so many years. I don't know whether it is discontinued, why it is so, but the thing is that I think we will get engaged again, sir, with your organization, and we hope that the work that you are doing with UNEP, you can do. We will also work with you, and in today's World Environment Day, and for the rest of the decade of ecosystem restoration, we will work together and take your advice and expertise in restoration of the 26 million hectares of land, which has been announced by our Honorable Prime Minister. And for that, I think we required the help from all the agencies, whether it is Mr. Shailesh Naik, especially in our coastal region. We are working on the ICZMP2 project, or Mr. Ashok Khosla, World Resource Institute. They are the pioneers, or Mr. Daniel will take all your help, and we'll work together. And I assure you the cooperation, and I should not say assistant, I will say cooperation. That is much a better word. And from the ministry, and we'll take your advice in going further and going along in the field of ecosystem restoration for one full decade. So today I extend my greetings on behalf of the ministry to all the organization, and especially the CEE and UNEP for organizing today's webinar, and that is very important for World Environment Day, and to launch the ecosystem restoration, and that to benefit the young mind, the student, the youth, taking them along. They are the future of our civilization. So thank you everybody. Sorry for me being late. I was running around today. It was a bit hectic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. And we are glad you could make it. You could make to the event, and it was an honor to have you with us. And we quickly go to Preeti ma'am. We are already running out of time. Preeti ma'am, over to you without speaking. I'm just giving it to you.
Thank you so much, Shrishti. It was wonderful to hear Mr. Dakpa, and we really look forward to join hands with ministry for this campaign as well as for the entire decade. So I'm just going to talk about this Act to Restore campaign. What are the activities we have planned? So as Shrishti already mentioned, that June month is devoted to ocean ecosystem. So there will be activities done in June month focused on ocean ecosystem. Then July is being One Mahotsav month. We thought it would be wonderful to actually have activities around focusing on forest ecosystem. Then August is focused on farmlands and grasslands. Then activities in September are planned around freshwater ecosystem. We are looking at various organizations coming on board, and hopefully we are very hopeful that Namami Gange National Mission for Clean Ganga will join us to actually take up the campaign in the month. Similarly, there are other organizations who are coming and joining this campaign, and monthly themes will be accordingly conducted. October is focused on mountains, and November is the concluding month where we will be looking at urban ecosystem and what are the activities which can be done with the help of youth and schools. Next, please. So in each month, there are different kind of activities we have visualized. There will be workshop series, like Kartik Bhai has mentioned that we are starting CEE Academy. So there is a course happening for youth as well as for teachers, focusing on these ecosystem restoration aspects. Then there will be series of workshops. We are running a lot of school programs. Paryavaran Mitra program is one of the key program of which we are running in India with schools. So there are a lot of teachers training workshop planned, which are on different themes. Then there is a Eco Schools program which we are doing with FEE. So Eco School program, Eco School in India, I will be looking at how ecosystem theme could be connected with the activities they are doing. And another program with FEE is the Young Reporters for Environment. So there are a lot of competitions and activities done along with this program. And then climate change will be a cross-cutting theme across whatever activities CEE will be doing during this Act to Restore campaign. Then we are happy to share that we have learning about forest, the leaf, with us on board as a global communication partner. So all the activities which we will be doing in India will be shared across globally, basically inspiring others and also learning from other parts of the world what is happening during the decade. Then, as I mentioned, there are competitions which will be announced soon on our website, as well as through other platforms that each youth and students and teachers can take part into, which will be like writing blogs, debates, participating in quiz, then contributing photographs, and also doing short videos. Then there will be a lot of activities on ground. We thought situation will be better, and then we are looking at doing cleanup drives, and then there will be there are different groups within CEE which are like taking up different activities like storytelling sessions for students. Then there will be expert talks. So as you know, like CEE has offices across India, so these activities will be not only be done as a national level, but there will be like state level and regional level and local level activities, like starting like even going to the rural community, and activities will be done. So next slide, please. So some ideas on what kind of activities we will be doing. So like Shishi has already mentioned, 8 June, which is a World Ocean Day, we are doing an event. So that information will be up on our social media pages, as well as we'll share the information. Then in September, like July, August, we'll be doing a lot of activities, like there is a Tiger Day, and then there is a Indigenous People Day. So those days will be celebrated focusing on ecosystem restoration. Similarly, in September month, and in October, we will be doing a national conference on climate change and ecosystem restoration with Yungo. So that is another very important event happening during this campaign. And we will conclude the entire campaign on November 27th. This 6-month campaign will end, but we will definitely take on the activities during the decade. So that is the idea, how this Act to Restore is just the beginning of what we are trying to actually build in this campaign. And we look forward to join hands with various partner institutions and take action during the decade. Thank you so much, Shrishti.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I thought there was one more slide. Hasti,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, very shortly about engaging.
Oh yeah,
social
yeah,
media.
very important. Sorry, social media. As you know, that it's very important when you take up action. We need to share also, so that people are inspired, and it gives us a lot of hope when there are positive stories on social media. So we are doing a challenge also on social media, which is like there will be a video series on I Pledge to Restore. We are inviting 30-second videos from different, like anybody can participate in this, and then that can be shared on social media, where hashtag Act to Restore and hashtag Generation Restoration, which is driven by UNEP, can be used for posting your video. You could see the different social media handles for Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, which you can use. And there will be a frame soon launched by CEE, which you could use while like showing your commitment that you pledge act to restore. So this is how we have planned the entire campaign, and we look forward for active participation of different stakeholders, NGOs, youth, students, and many more professionals. Thank you so much, Srishti.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, and for sharing the roadmap and how people can join with the Act to Restore campaign. And I don't want everyone to keep you waiting. We are already much ahead of our time. So we go to the last session of the day. And for that session, I invite Ms. Madhvi Joshi, Senior Program Director, Youth Programs, to share our experience of restoration and inspire us all to take a pledge to restore. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Srishti, and good evening to all the panelists and distinguished guests. And just can I have the next slide, please? Just thought I will share very briefly about an initiative that CEE took. This is some 15 to 20 years ago, and when Ahmedabad city was undergoing this whole concern in terms of the green spaces that were really dwindling. And as we know, specifically when you're talking about restoration, how restoring green areas in an urban city can really change the microclimate of a city. And this is one of the initiatives that we took as part of that partnerships project, which was called the Ahmedabad Green Partnerships Project. If you see, this was these kinds of plots, open plots in residential areas or across the city were given for development of forests by the municipal corporation as part of this partnership. And CEE took up this plot, which is in a residential area in Manekbag area of Ahmedabad. Over the first 10 years, we were able to develop this plot into the forest that you can see. It was about 8,500 square meters of space, not a really big space, but fairly big enough to be able to create a change in terms of how we can actually demonstrate the kind of indigenous species we can plant there, and what kinds of avifauna can actually come back and start being in this space. And we have documented all of that during these years. The beauty of this particular initiative is also to do with how community and walkers who use this space to come and for their morning walks and evening walks or any leisure activities, they actually have contributed in terms of, say, right from the time of plantation to actually being able to manage and nurture this space. Now we gave this space back to the municipal corporation and the Nature's Walkers Association, which was formed by the community groups which were looking after this the Lok one, as it is called. And this was done, and I'm happy to say that every few months, and today I also again every World Environment Day they remember. And they come back to us and say that this is a space they really value and has made a big difference to the kind of quality of life that they experience. And it's just one big green space in that otherwise concrete area. So I'm very happy about this, feel very proud that we've been able to demonstrate something like this. Of course, our own campus is also a beautiful demonstration of how one can actually change the micro ecosystem of a space by actually looking at how do you green it. It's not just important to plant, but also what you plant, what kind of species you plant, and how do you nurture them and let it restore and regenerate by itself. So that's what I wanted to quickly talk about. And now we go on to our pledge. I think it's possible to do things at our own level, in our schools, at nearby our homes, and also join movements which are huge and large that Ashok Khoslaji was talking about. So there is a plethora of things that you could do. But I think let's start with oneself. How do I change my own mindset? How do I pledge? What do I want to do? So I asked Srishti to please start the Mentimeter.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, we are going back to Menti just to understand what are the pledges our individuals here can take, just to know how excited we are all are on the UN decade. And you can go to menti.com and use this code 77561160, and it will also be there in your chat. Please ensure the link is already there. And yes, we are getting more people here, but we'll quickly move ahead. So we just have 10 more years to restore this planet. So let us know what is your pledge. So as soon as the responses come, we will be able to see them here. Let's see, we have about 200 people in the webinar, and let's see how many people could engage on taking that pledge. Ma'am, you want to speak? I just guided it.
Yeah, I think somebody has to start it. Yeah,
Yes.
Plant indigenous trees around me. Yes, of course. Yeah, keep them going, keep them coming. Yes, besides planting, what else? Yeah. Sustainable use of available resources. Yes, reduce use of plastics, recycle waste. Save water. Restore the pristine mountains. To clean as many campuses as possible. That's a very direct action that we're talking about. I pledge to restore our first home, our earth. And to keep surroundings clean, reduce, reuse, recycle.
I think we are getting a lot of them here, and we will definitely get a handful of them. And there are lots and lots of actions we are all taking. We are 200 here, and if we all get together, we will have more and more actionable things to restore our planet.
It starts with oneself, but then it doesn't end there. I think we need to join hands and pledge to work together for the ecosystem restoration. There is a lot for us to do, and we can bring about change.
Okay, ma'am. So stopping it here and
thank you.
And going.
Thanks, Srishti, for this.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for inspiring us and you revived our faith that as individuals, if we come together and play our part, we can succeed in restoring our planet, and also one step at a time. So finally, to conclude our event, I would like to call Ms. Preeti again to dedicate a vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Srishti. So we are very happy to have such a wonderful event today with like esteemed panelists and participants and our guest of honor from Ministry. So we all gather today to share our concerns and take pledge for ecosystem restoration. We could see so many pledges coming in, so which actually inspires us a lot as a team, which we know that the coming Act to Restore campaign is going to be very successful. So we would like to thank all the participants for joining this launch of the campaign. We are grateful to our expert speaker, Mr. Atul Bagai, Dr. Shailesh Naik, and Dr. Ashok Kosha for joining us today and setting the tone for the campaign. It gives me immense pleasure to thank Mr. Daniel Schaffer from FEE for being part of this launch event, as well as being partnering the entire campaign with us. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to our guest of honor, Mr. Jigmet Tekpa from Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, for his presence and basically talking about how we could all work together and what can be done. We would like to thank our director, Shri Kartikeya Sarabhai, for guiding us through to plan this entire campaign, as well as the course you saw that we have announced today. I would like to thank my colleague, Ms. Madhuri Joshi, for sharing a very positive story of handprint action, which I'm sure going to help a lot of our participants and us to take action around us. So last but not the least, the entire team who had made this event possible. So I would like to just take name, would like to thank Srishti, Arzu, Hasti, Deepika, Jogedra, Mansi, Deep, and many more who are behind the scene, who have helped us to actually plan and conduct this event. So thank you so much, everyone, to join us for the event.
So with this, we are ending our today's event and hope you all had a good time learning new things and listening to the stories we shared. Hope to see you all again in our webinar series and monthly thematic events as part of the Act 2 Restore, which are going to be full of knowledge, interaction, and fun. Thank you once again on behalf of CEE India and our great World Environment Day. Thank you.